your primary care could be so much better.
Yes, it could.
Y'all, I got this ball of sunshine in the L offices here in beautiful Tucson. Welcome to the show, Mandy DeMeritt, y'all. She is a family nurse practitioner, and I am so charged as we met about a month or about 5 weeks ago at a networking event, and there was some resonance in conversation and just resonant passion and really just caring so passionately about people as I was still unsure, what entailed with a family nurse practitioner and what came with that. And y'all, she is the real deal. And she was voted on Tucson.com's Reader's Choice 2020 edition, best primary care provider. She is brilliant mind, passionate when it comes to helping people be inspired and empowered in the last 2 years, especially as there's been such a confusion, such a manipulation, such a not the most inspiring way of viewing health, sister. And when you shared that line with me, is your primary care could be so much better, and shared this, quote unquote, your words, this Netflix kind of like subscription based, so that way more people can have more access to, healthcare. Why is my main question for you?
Like, why did I do this?
Yeah. What drives you? Why?
I just got sick of the typical fee-for-service medicine. It's very much a mill. 20-minute, I get 20 minutes as a nurse practitioner, but doctors get less time than that. And you're always behind and just trying to keep up with that rat race, and it just is old. It got old, and COVID really I just got sick of it. And so really kind of looked into, even it was like early summer 2020, of how could I be different with this. It would always been a dream of mine to have my own practice. I just thought I would be a lot older and wiser. And so just started doing research, and the ball started rolling, and I would hit roadblocks, and I would get frustrated, and I would sit on it for a few days, and then they just kept falling. And I just said, okay, Jesus, I'm going to keep doing this until the roadblock is too big for me to overcome, or my doors are open. And I opened my doors January 2021. Yeah. So it's been such a wonderful journey, and finding people who want to make their lifestyle better, who want to make the changes, and not having to deal with insurance. Insurance is not necessary for primary care. 80 to 90% of the stuff we can take care of in primary care, and they run the show. And so one of my favorite examples, and I think I shared with you, about just trigger point injections to help with muscle spasms. If you went to any traditional fee-for-service clinic, which is what, when I say fee-for-service, it's what we're used to. As far as medicine and your appointments go. And so you get a trigger point injection, which is just lidocaine in a muscle spasm. And so I come in, assess you. Yes, let's go forward with that. Well, you can't get it today because you need a prior auth. So then you're waiting, who knows when my next appointment is. Right. And so then it's however many days until you can come back and get that injection. So you're in pain that much longer. In my practice, I don't need to do that. I can make that assessment, and then we talk about next best steps, and you can get it that day. And then as far as like with insurance, so then if you do the trigger point injection, well, they'll only pay for it every 3 months. But you can really do them like in the next week. So if you're seeing some improvement, but not 100%, we could do another one in a week. And so insurance they run the show, and they're not in it for the benefit of you and your health. They're in it for the benefit of their shareholders. They have to keep them happy.
Oh, this is such a juicy concept. Wow. This is going to be such a fun conversation. As I love that your model presents an opportunity to bypass a lot of the headache.
Yes.
At the Source Tucson, we're predominantly cash-based as well, because we can provide the care that our people need right now.
Exactly.
Which is so important because I think the concept of health is something that we can explore a lot more, as once more, y'all, like Mandy brings such a wonderful perspective as, yes, I'm a chiropractor and I see things through a certain lens, holistically, in a different way, and pertaining to the spinal cord and the health and function of your nervous system and helping you process your stress. But Mandy brings such a potent complement to things, as she represents allopathic medicine, but in a way that I think is very new and is more dynamic and in more flow. And I think what makes the model that she provides for her people is that there's immediate access. There's quicker access to the resources and, you know, the medicines and the different things to help people heal. But also one thing I want to highlight early on is, you know, how she sees how a lot of the diseases in her office, how they actually pertain to a lot of lifestyle. And would you care to share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. I just quick want to explain my practice model for
Do
most
that.
people don't understand it, and then we'll get into that. So it's like you'd mentioned, it's like Netflix for healthcare. So subscription based.
So catchy.
I know. So it's a monthly subscription to primary care. So $75 a month for one person, $135 for two people, and a family of 5 is up to $150. And with that, there's no copays, no deductibles, no coinsurance. You could see me 5 days a week, and it's not going to cost you anything else. I get really cheap rates on any sort of blood work or imaging that we need to do, so you don't even need to tap your insurance for those things, and most of the time it's way cheaper than what your deductible is going to be anyways for that stuff. And I really love people to be healthy physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. So I am big on price transparency. I am very upfront about everything, and I do not proceed with charging for blood work until you understand why I'm ordering it and what I'm looking for, and then you also agree to the charge. And so I treat everyone's finances like my own, and so I'm not just like willy-nilly money guns, like, oh, let's, you know, I just want to respect people in that. But then you brought about, what did you ask me about?
Oh, how your application of what you do and how you help pay attention to the whole lifestyle, which I think as an insert nurse, you know, there's an awareness that, you know, majority of nurses that work in the hospital systems, you know, they're shouldering a lot of the load, a lot more than I think people would really kind of perceive. And there's so many touch points, but you have a lot more freedom, I think, as compared to a registered nurse in a hospital.
So lifestyle, I would say that 90 to 95% of the chronic diseases we have today are due to our lifestyle.
Yes.
And so the big thing for me, if you sit in my office, you will hear that conversation pretty much every time we meet or if we chat over the phone, because it is high insulin levels create inflammation, and inflammation is the number one driver of metabolic diseases. And so we really need to be looking at the processed carbohydrates and sugars that we are putting into our body. Sugar is not regulated by the FDA, not that that means anything, but because of that, they are hiding it in everything. Same with seed oils. Seed oils would be canola oil, vegetable oil, Crisco, margarine, peanut oil, safflower oil, grapeseed oil, any of that garbage. That's in all of your salad dressings. It's in your mayonnaises. It's in your seasonings, your dry seasonings, I'm finding. Excuse me. And I've been practicing this lifestyle. So I promote the ketogenic carnivore lifestyle. And so I have been practicing this for a few years, and I just recently found out about that they're putting these soybean oils in your seasonings. And I'm like, what in the world? So now I have a lot of seasonings in my pantry that I'm no longer using, which is fine. But seed oils, the way that those started, like in the 1900s, they were used to grease engines. And then they figured out, oh, it kind of looks like lard, and let's tell people that it works in that way. Well, I'm still doing more research on this, but from what I can understand is the way that they get it to the initial oil stage, it is smells horrible. And so then they have to process it again to get it palatable for us to eat it. But the half-life, a half-life of something is how long it takes half of it to leave your body. So a half-life of a seed oil is 680 days. So it takes over 4 years for those seed oils to leave your body. And they are creating an insane amount of inflammation, and they hang out in your fat cells. And then you have your processed carbohydrates and sugars, which is like your breads, pastas, pastries, rice, tortillas.
All the tasty things.
All the things in the standard American diet that we absolutely love. And like I said, sugars are hidden in everything. It's in your lunch meat. You got to look it up. And I went to Safeway one day and was like, hey, what's in your deli meat? And they printed out straight up sugar. It's an addiction. I mean, it fills our opiate receptors just like a narcotic would. And when you look at an MRI versus if someone did cocaine versus sugar, it lights up the exact same way. So if you choose to come off of that, it is a detox. You will not feel well. It is lots of water, an incredible amount of salt, which salt gets a bad rap. Don't blame the salt for what the sugar did. Sugar-free electrolytes, bone broths, and then fat and protein to kind of get you through that uncomfortable stage of detoxing off of it.
That's very important. Feel free to rewind that, as that's a very big nugget for y'all to appreciate. And one other layer to the question is, you mentioned inflammation is one of the biggest drivers leading and perpetuating chronic diseases. And you also said it helps perpetuate metabolic disease, which, would you care to translate that a little bit more for our people? Yeah.
So metabolic disease is, like your diabetes, hypertension. And they're now starting to call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes and Parkinson's type 4 diabetes, which that leads into a whole nother discussion of healing our gut and how important our gut is in that aspect. And so you can change your lifestyle to be the carnivore or ketogenic lifestyle, which is what I promote. But if you don't heal your gut, you kind of have done nothing. And so we have a thing called leaky gut syndrome, which is, from my understanding, there's a mucus membrane layer on your intestine, and because of our standard diet and all the things that we eat, it's putting holes in that mucus layer. So then when you continue to eat those things, instead of being then the outside of your intestine, so kind of the inside of your body, is now not protected. And so those chemicals and those toxins are straight into your bloodstream without being filtered out or then processed out of your body. And so if you don't heal your gut, you can still go on to get Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and things like that.
Which is so important, because being able to appreciate this different lens, it's so important, because when you think about the lifestyle, I think what the United States has fallen victim to in a lot of the world is due to a lot of confusion, as we talked about on Dr. Brett's episode, Understand the Matrix. When people are confused, they're like, you know what, well, fuck it. You just do this for me.
Yes, exactly.
And a lot of people want us to, as healthcare professionals, heal them for them, because there's just so much confusion with exercise, with diet, with all these different things. We talk about this in our Healing Essentials workshop, and how we just want to boil things down and make it super simple. My question for you is, why is it important for someone to be able to better understand and change their lifestyle?
I mean, if you really don't want to progress to these diseases, if you want to come off medication, and I'm taking people off medication, if you want to stay off medication, this is what you have to do. I can't out-medicate your diet. No provider can. So if you continue to eat these things, especially as a diabetic, eventually the insulin stops working. And what I don't know if people understand is the disease of diabetes. So diabetes is when your blood sugars are chronically high, your cells do not respond to insulin anymore. They're sick of it. They're the mom who's just tuned out the kids screaming at her. And so you have all these high blood sugars. Well, it's a disease that attacks your tiny blood vessels. And where do those live? In our eyes, our feet, our hands, and our kidneys. So as a diabetic, if it's uncontrolled, you will start to get neuropathy or numbness in your feet. Then you get a sore, and you don't know about it for a few days. Open wounds get infected. And then it starts down this cycle of in the hospital, trying to debride it. Eventually we start to cut off toes, we cut off feet, you lose your eyesight, and you lose your kidneys. And so that is this disease. And I don't think people understand that. If you sit in my office, I tell you that because I want you to know what's coming forward for you. Does that answer your question?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, no, I wanted to translate so that way people can understand and have a landing pad for them to understand, because I think Sean Stevenson talks about this. I think it's 50 to 60% of the United States population or more. I think it's 2/3. Every 2 out of 3 people is overweight or obese.
Yes, and it's astronomical in children now. It is pre-diabetes, diabetes in children is like, my heart. Like, what are we doing to those kiddos? You know what I mean? And
why?
Because one, they've gotten us addicted to it.
Yes.
Right? Not regulated by the FDA. And if we want to go down that rabbit hole,
do it.
Okay.
Oh, we're here to paint the picture. I think this is perfect.
Yes. Because we need to talk about it. Yeah.
We already painted the picture for understanding the matrix, but Mandy has a lovely, description in how things how things layer into each other with insurance, with big food, big pharma.
Yeah, let's go. So in the 50s, there was a gentleman named Ansel Keys, and he did what was called the 7 countries study. And he found these 7 countries, the more saturated fat that you ate, the higher your cardiovascular risk, your cardiovascular disease was. And this was right around when Eisenhower had his heart attack, and everyone was freaking out. Well, they also didn't address the fact that Eisenhower smoked a pack a day. And what does smoking do? Increase inflammation. No one addressed that. So he plotted these countries. Well, then we have the government and the American Heart Association jumping onto that. But what you don't know is he looked at multiple countries, and the only ones he plotted on his graph were the ones that proved his point. If you step back and look at all of the countries, there was no rhyme or reason to it whatsoever. So now we have the government jumped on this. American Heart Association jumped on this. So they're telling you fat is evil. Then in the 60s, the top 3 nutritionists at Harvard were approached by the sugar industry to say that fat was the root of all evil, and they did it. They were bought off. So now you have a low-fat industry. So the only way to make things taste better when you remove the fat is to add carbs and sugar to it. Now we have a statin industry of $14 billion a year plus that does literally nothing. They're treating an LDL number. Your LDL is a calculation based on your standard cholesterol panel. It's just a calculation. They're not looking at anything. There's multiple different forms of LDL, and everyone looks at cholesterol inherently as evil, and it's not. It's a transportation molecule. It's
nice.
Your cells are made up of fat, cholesterol, and protein. Where in there does it talk about carbohydrate? Not one. And there's studies that are showing that the lower your cholesterol levels, there's a correlation between low cholesterol levels and Alzheimer's. Like, cholesterol is imperative to your brain. Imperative. Your liver makes it if you don't eat enough of it. There's 3 ways that our body gets cholesterol. It gets it from your liver, it gets it from your diet, and it gets it from when it autophages your cells and breaks them down and repairs them. It'll steal it from that. But the top 2 places are your diet and your liver.
And a lot of Americans are, I like to say United Statesians, let's be clear. There's South America, North America, and Central America.
Yeah.
United Statesians. Think about this, y'all. In the 50s and 60s, the big food was bought off to literally flood things with carbs, which wasn't how we were designed. Think about our ancestors when they were running around, trying to avoid saber-toothed tigers and, surviving. They were able to, forage and pick, berries, nuts, and different things. But it was what was available to them. And there simply wasn't this whole middle of the grocery store, which is food that is quite literally processed, which is crazy. So it's like, one tip is, shop on the perimeter of the grocery store. But I'm like, how the fuck, all right, if you want to dissect the last 2.5 years, if health was really, really important, well, why the hell were we told to stay inside?
Exactly.
Why were we told to don't go to the gym, don't exercise? And there was like a leveraging of this, once more, this convenience. I think we're addicted to convenience. That's the big thing. And anything that adds to that.
And it's hard. People don't think that they can do hard things, but they can do hard things.
Say it again.
You can do hard things, people. Do the hard things. I don't want to work out 5 days a week, but I do it because it's hard and it's good. It's good for us to move our bodies.
If you don't choose your heart is choosing for you.
1,000%. It's either you pay for it, you pay the grocery bill now, and you buy the things that are maybe a little bit more expensive, or you pay for it later, waiting in the lines for the doctor's office, the lines to pick up your prescriptions, and then what your prescriptions cost. And then all the side effects of those medications.
Right. The side effects from the medications and the direct effects from the medications. And then also the pain and suffering.
Yes.
From the lack of priority, which is cool and which can be what available to people. But that's why, I'm grateful that there's another passionate sis, in the game to be able to teach people. One, you can do hard things.
Yes.
And in doing the hard things, that's going to actually create more ease in your life. Because when it comes to a pandemic or whatever, last 2 years, I was chilling. I wasn't worried about my health at all. And me and Lou, we got COVID back in last summer. And we were stuffy noses and slept for a day or two. And then we're like, okay. Got that upgrade.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Not to discount, this is important, not to discount anything as, Mandy's really worked with treating, a number of COVID patients very intimately in her practice. And one of the things that I was asking her in the pre-chat and yesterday before we connected here was, what do you want people to know with COVID? And she's like, that you can work through it.
Yeah, you can. There are treatments and they're working and we know the side effects of them. And I have treated lots of COVID. And some people got really sick, but I work really hard to make sure that you aren't in the hospital. Because I can control 0 things once you're in the hospital. So.
And I don't think it's important to dive into, what can happen in the hospital, as I want to keep the focus more so on, what can we do, and, why are we doing this? And I think one thing that's super important to just reiterate, just the importance of mitigating and lowering your inflammation of the body, but also lowering the inflammation of the mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if your mind is quite literally inflamed, you're confused, and you're looking at the news or, what might be inflammatory in nature, that can lead to a lack of ease in your system, which is going to stress you out. In a body, long, short, y'all, and stress, as a reminder, it's not supposed to be there long.
No, yeah.
We enter the fight, flight, or freeze it's supposed to be moments, because a saber-toothed tiger is coming at us, and then we're supposed to...
Right.
Okay, now I can chill, now I can relax. But so many citizens of the world in this moment are just living such an inflamed lifestyle. And I think that as you, modify your diet and and what you're doing in the day to day, and you create more access for yourself and for your family, life's going to change.
Yeah. I mean, fear was becoming one of the number one risk factor for death of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turn off the news. They don't care about you. They don't. They just want the clicks. They want the money. That's all they want. Same with the government. They don't care.
They don't care.
If they cared, they'd ban all this stuff. They'd ban seed oils. They'd ban sugar, but they don't. Because here's the reality. You have your big diet. So then you need your big pharma to support your big diet. And you need big insurance to support your big pharma to support your big diet. And then the big government is in bed with everyone, making hand over fist in their Scrooge McDuck pools full of cash while we die and suffer. And it's an addiction, and people don't think that it is. Well, you can't overdose on it, but no, you die a slow, uncomfortable, painful death.
Because people are confused for more life being quote unquote good or the goal. Same thing with advancement in technology. People are so focused on trying to extend our lives versus deepen our lives.
Right.
But if you examine the quality of life, as people generally get older, that it drops massively with sarcopenia, loss of muscle mass, loss of movement, slowing of the mind, and like you already mentioned, Alzheimer's type 3 and type 4. And with these different aspects of things, this is important, because if you're not paying attention to the quality of your life, which is based around your lifestyle, literally how you do your every day, then you are going to become victim, or you're going to be milked energetically and health-wise, and it can be slow until it's not. Yeah. And then what do you look towards for your power?
Right. Yeah, for sure. And then, I mean, you touch on frailty, loss of muscle mass is what you said. And there is a strong correlation between inability to stand up out of a chair without using your hands, between frailty and falls as you age. And so I tell my patients, and you can ask my kiddos, the number one exercise you need to do for the rest of your life is squats. You need to be able to stand up out of that chair without using your hands. And as we age, muscle mass loss, you talk about, protein is imperative. And you're not going to get it in a bunch of vegetables. You can't eat enough vegetables to replenish the protein that you need. It has to come from actual protein. So I get nervous when people are, in the vegetarian, vegan realm. I'm like, ooh, as you age, you need that protein for sure.
Yeah, I always think about it's fun to challenge. What are your thoughts as people? I've commonly heard it's like, oh well, elephants don't eat any meat, or gorillas don't eat any meat.
Yeah, but their intestines were created to digest it, and look at how fat they are. You know what I mean? Look how fat a gorilla is. Yeah. Someone said that. I just saw that something about the hippos the other day. They don't eat but look at them. You know what I mean? And I was just reading yesterday, because I'm trying to understand this. I don't know everything, and I'm very honest. I'm not that smart, but I try. Yes, and you even talked about difference, if I can touch on this. You talked about difference in opinions. Like, no one knows who to believe. Even in the keto carnivore world, everyone has a different opinion. I listen to multiple different people, and they all have different opinions on how we should do it. My thing is, cut out the processed carbohydrates and sugars and seed oils. Full stop. Over. That's it. And then it's not a blanket. It really is individualized, because if you come into me as a diabetic, I'm going to treat you differently than someone who's metabolically healthy, who's insulin sensitive, whose body responds to insulin. If you come into me as a diabetic and you want to come off meds, then it's fat and protein. There's no vegetables. There's no fruit. None of that until we fix the problem, or we know, okay, your body is too damaged, you're going to be on the lowest amount of medication possible.
Yeah.
So, but if you come to be insulin sensitive, that's a different story. We can play more with those vegetables and fruits and things like that.
I love that you said every body is different.
Yeah.
As that's a great reminder. I'm curious if you could share with our listeners, what's something amazing that you've seen in switching someone from being on their meds to putting them on fats and proteins, and how has their health changed?
I mean, they feel better. They have more energy. I feel like their brain clarity is better. They're not so foggy. They don't want to lay down and take a nap after eating a meal. I mean, I remember that. You eat a heavy carb meal and you're just like,
oh, good night.
See you later.
It's a wrap.
Right? I know. Going to eating once or twice a day. I used to have to eat in the middle of the night. I would wake up and I'd be so hungry I'd have to eat something to go back to sleep. Now I eat once or twice a day. I still get hungry, but it's not hangry, and it's not something I can't overcome in the moment.
Ooh, this came up in, I think, facilitator camp for Kairos training coach this past year, my community of chiropractors that get after it. Shout out to y'all. Mm-hmm. In artificial or man-created means, that can lead to unsustainable outcomes. Mm-hmm. However, if it's coming more so from nature, being fats, being proteins, quite literally more connected, I'll say more connected to nature, versus having the things that are in the middle, it literally leads to more intense or ravenous kind of cravings. And that's because, well, guess what? Your body's used to this drug that's called sugar, which in a rat, or in a study based on rats, rats were giving cocaine and they were giving sugar. And said, which one do you want? And they went after the sugar.
Yes.
Which is crazy to me.
Yes. And even, it's not like a caloric. I don't ask my patients to count anything because I don't want to count anything. So I'm never asking people to do something I'm not already doing.
Oh, integrity.
Yeah,
integrity.
right?
Yeah, integrity.
So if you look, there was I think it was called the Minnesota study.
We'll look it up. Put it in the show notes.
Yeah. Don't fact check me on that. But they did a study in men and they restricted their calories and it became an obsession. All they wanted to do was eat. An obsession.
When they were ingesting carbs.
When they were, I think it was, I think the diet wasn't fat protein. This was done back in the 50s.
Okay.
But they just put them on a calorie restrictive diet and then all they wanted to do was eat. So, and then if you look at it every time you eat something like that, your body has to put out insulin because insulin, one of its jobs is to help grab that sugar and put it into the cells to use it for energy, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have that insulin. And then I think one of the reasons you hear this notion of eat every 2 hours, right? And so I think one of the notions for that is just because it keeps you then from gorging at your 3 meals a day. Yeah. Right? So they're like, well, if we can get you to eat every 2 hours, then maybe you'll just stay on track and you won't be so feel like you're being, what's the word I'm looking for?
You're just stretched thin. Yeah. As the United States people, they'll oftentimes there's so many people, oh yeah, I forgot to eat today. Yeah. And me, I'm like, motherfucker, how? How? Back to the
yeah. So then if you're eating every 2 hours, then you're constantly having insulin floating in your body, right? Because it's got to do its job. Yep. And then insulin loves fat. So the more insulin you have in your body, the more fat you have in your body. So then your cells are exposed to insulin that much more and they become resistant and they don't want anything to do with it. Or then you have your insulin resistance where you just have all the insulin floating around and all the, the sugars floating around. And then just by biochemistry, through a process called de novo lipogenesis, from the minute we're created to the minute that we're born, our body's job is to keep us alive. So through this process, it takes all of that excess blood sugar because it doesn't want you to die, and it converts it to triglycerides and stores it in your liver. You can literally die of cirrhosis of the liver and not have a single drop of alcohol. So when you come into me at a cholesterol panel, I'm looking at your triglycerides and your HDL. I could care less about your cholesterol or your LDL. If we're really concerned about LDL, once you've gotten into this lifestyle and your numbers have kind of stabilized, then there's another cholesterol panel that dives deeper into it, and it looks at LDL. There's 2 different sizes of LDL. It's not just one size. And so then we can look at to that and see, do you have more of the fat and fluffy, which is what you want, versus the hard and small? So then when eating the processed carbohydrates and sugars converts it to the hard and small. So it's like a little bullet in your artery and it's bouncing around and it puts a hole in your artery wall. Well, what does your body want to do? Stay alive. So it comes and it plugs the hole with cells that are made up of fat, cholesterol, and protein. And then it happens again, and then it happens again, and then it happens again, and then it happens again. And then that's how we get our plaque buildup, and then inflammation plays into that also. And so
you just described, I think, one of the most important cycles that's happening without eyes in our bodies, as so many people just don't know. As you know, when you go to the My Plate.
Oh yeah,
it's like 40%. It's like have 40% grains.
That. Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah. I mean, why I said before, they just want us addicted to it. But if you look at it, so your body needs 1 teaspoon.
This is good.
Of sugar.
Listen up.
To maintain a blood sugar of 75 to 85. If you go a half a teaspoon up, you're diabetic. A half a teaspoon down, you're dead. Okay. So I did some research because I do some research. I don't have all the time in the world, but so I looked at the government. What are they telling us to eat? So they want you to keep your added sugars limited to 50 grams a day. That's added sugars. Okay. Then your carbohydrates, they want you to eat 275 grams a day. That equates to 1 1/4 cup plus 7 teaspoons of sugar. How much sugar does your body need to maintain a normal blood sugar? 1 teaspoon. And now you're eating, it's 67 times that. It's 67
Holy
teaspoons.
Shit.
That's how much that is.
I'm shooketh.
I know. It's insane.
And that's just one day.
That's one day. And that's if you count. Most people aren't counting. They're drinking their Pepsis, their Mountain Dews, they're going to fast food. Gatorades, they're all full of it. And then you go to fast food and it's all seed oils. They cook it all in seed oils.
So you're having seed oils and sugar.
Yeah, McDonald's used to fry their fries in beef tallow. I wish they'd go back to that.
Huh, I never knew that.
Yeah, when they initially started, it was all in beef tallow.
Wow.
So when you're looking at your fats, you're cooking in beef tallow, grass-fed butter, ghee, avocado oil, olive oil. I say those, you have to check your labels on the olive oil and avocado oil because they will cut them with seed oils to make it cheaper.
Wow.
So you got to read your labels. All the ketogenic products out of there, I probably wouldn't touch 95% of them.
What's an ingredient they can look for when it comes to olive oil and avocado oil?
Soybean oil, canola oil, safflower oil, those things. Yeah.
And we'll be sure to highlight the different oils and, the different things that Mandy's dropping for y'all. So that way you can just look at the show notes to reference things. As once more, we want convenience in this episode.
Yes.
We want the convenience in this episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Here's a question for you, as I'm curious to your answer. Why do people eat? Or why is it important to eat?
Well, I mean, we need clearly nutrition. We need the energy. Just baseline. I think there's a big emotional attachment to it.
1,000%.
Yeah. I think a lot of it, the eating is the emotional eating. And I'm even part of that. I have to stop and be like, why are you eating right now? Are you hungry or are you just bored? Well, I think the last 2 years, a lot of people have been in the fridge because they're just bored or scared. So you really need to do some good soul work and check why am I going to put this in my mouth? Am I actually hungry? And maybe drink a glass of water with some salt in it. A little salt, some lime.
Sounds tasty.
Yeah,
Yum.
right?
Yum.
Non-alcoholic
margarita.
Yep.
I love this. I think what we're starting to, explore is, how to optimize your life and how to make things super easy. As I love the concept that our bodies are designed to survive. I forget where I heard it. I think it was on IG or something, but it was like someone said, my doctor said once, your brain is not concerned about anything but helping you survive.
Yes.
So when it comes to trauma, when it comes to emotions, it's all about defensiveness. So that's just our brain. However, our mind, I think, is more of a constructive value or a constructive force to be able to utilize and influence the brain and influence the body to make sure we can navigate things in an intentional way. And I think when it comes to consumption of eating, as once more, we talk about nourishment as a pillar of health at the source. And it's so important as we give people the invitation to begin to fast, whether it be intermittently, you eat in a window, whether it be a water fast, whether it be a dry fast, it's a lot more intense, or a juice fast or bone broth fast. That's a little less intense in case y'all want to start there. Oh, this is not medical advice.
Yeah, please disclaimer that.
But what is important is it's to be able to get a break and create space.
Yes.
Because I think in creating space, whether it's you fast from social media, fast from your phone,
social media.
When you do it with food and even water, but when you do it with food in particular, you really get sensitized or resensitized to how and why am I eating this? Because when you fast for a day or 2 days or 3 days, the longest I've ever fasted for on a water fast was 7 days. And at a certain point, your body switches over to ketogenesis,
Yes.
which it switches over to be able to break down then the fats that we're walking with to use those as energy. Why is this important? In the space of that, I think you really regain sovereignty in a different way, because you're like, oh, wow, you see how much energy goes into prepping food, talking about food, thinking about food, snacking, and then the actual consumption of it. But you're just like, holy shit. And once more, as you go into fasting, I think one fascinating thing that happens with your body is it actually gets a lot more focused because it thinks it needs to look for a lot more food. However, leveraging once more the constructive value that is your mind, you can direct it to learning a new language. The book, The Complete Guide to Fasting with Jimmy Fong, or Dr. James Fong, he breaks down in prisoners that were putting on a water fast for a few days. They actually were able to learn and master Norwegian in the matter of, I think it was under a week. It is one of the most complex languages in the game, because the body's ability to redirect and reorganize its energy is so potent. But what do you want to put that energy towards?
Right. And the other thing, just metabolically, what your body does is it has a chance to heal itself. It can repair its cells. It can get rid of the cells that don't work. You know what I mean? If you're constantly having to digest food, it can't do what it needs to do. So I, for sure, talk to my patients about intermittent fasting and whether that is you eat one meal a day, you eat lunch and dinner, you eat breakfast and lunch, you eat breakfast, dinner. Like, I know people who have to eat breakfast, fine. But give your body time to not have to process food. Give your insulin time to drop, so you're not having that constant insulin in your body.
What are some ways that people can gain more awareness of, where their day-to-day insulin levels may be, or their hormone panels? What would you recommend?
So, I mean, if you're really looking into it, the best thing is a finger stick glucometer. So where you check your blood sugar. I would tend you to stay away from checking a fasting glucose in the morning, just because we have a thing about 4 o'clock in the morning. It's called the dawn effect, where our liver is starting to wake us up. And so it's going to shoot out some sugar into our bodies to help us have the energy to do that. And that can last till about 11 o'clock in the morning or so. It might end sooner in some people, but that's kind of what we say. So if you're going to check, I would check 2 hours after you eat. And then we really want your blood sugar to be below 100. If you're hanging out, 110s, 120s, higher than that, then there's some insulin resistance going on there. Because
there's increased blood floating or increased sugar floating in your blood, which can lead to toxic or detrimental effects, as it's not supposed to be there. And I love the process of autophagy, as that's the shedding of essentially dead cancerous cells when the body's able to allocate energy to more of what's necessary. I think the mind does the same thing. Okay, you're not focused on food. So what have you been running away from? What haven't you been looking at? What haven't you examined? Food can be a great escape, especially for my introverts. If you don't have to leave your house anymore.
No.
For anything. For fucking water.
I know.
For your groceries, to go on a date.
I know.
Like, it's crazy. Swipe left and you're the man, or whatever fucking way you swipe. I don't know.
Just don't swipe it off. Just stay off of it. It's all garbage. The only reason I'm on social media is because I have my business. I'd rather not be on it.
Right.
I was off.
With you.
I was off it. I got off it about 10 years ago, and then I started 2 years ago, and I started my business. But
Well, tell me, with your business, what are you really, really excited about when it comes to the rest of 2022 and 23 with what you got going?
I am just so excited to help people. I'm excited to encourage them. I mean, how often do you go into your provider's office and you just get encouragement that you're doing the hard work?
So good.
I'm so excited that I'm finding people that want to do the hard work. It gets old to be in this mill of dispensary. All we do is hand out meds. And the only two meds that cure anything are antibiotics and antivirals. Everything else is symptom suppression. We're not curing anything. We don't have health care. We have sick care in America. That's it. This isn't health, because health isn't profitable. It's not making the pharmaceutical companies $1 bazillion a year. They don't care.
And this is important, as I love, because it's not profitable to them or to the bigs. I'll just say the bigs. Fuck them. But the bigs. What it is profitable for is for more life expression. It's for increased happiness. It's for increased alignment of self. It's for, oh my God, it's just for you to be able to do what you want to do now that shit is clear. Which once more, it's like, Fun fact,
Yeah.
I like to think that philosophically and energetically, you're a chiropractor. Why? Because you help clear the interference and clear the shit that's in the way of people from actually allowing their life to thrive.
Yeah.
I gave this little example the other day, and it was like, take a piece of grass, for example, or that beautiful plant behind you. Mm-hmm. That thing can't grow, or the only thing that can grow it is the plant itself. Mm-hmm. We can cheer it on. Yeah. We can give it a great environment, good ass air, water, get it some sun, and get it some good dirt, some good soil to grow in.
Right.
But you can't grow it. It has this natural intelligence inside it, if it is alive, that is constantly efforting to adapt and build and grow and stretch and reach. Mm-hmm. And I think us as human beings are this like mobile plant. So we don't need to have these like actual roots that go into the ground and keep us there. We actually are able to fuck around and walk. Mm-hmm. But it's important to realign ourselves with what are the principles of nature and what is sustainable, because once more, that which is made from nature is for us, because we come from nature as well. Yeah. And if you're in these artificial environments, internally and externally, that shit is not going to be sustainable, because it's like severing a plant from its roots when we have the ability to, yes, put our feet in the earth itself, but we can connect to nature in so many different ways. And I just love that, the reminder that we're not here to be suppressed symptomatology-wise, because our symptoms are signposts and blessings for what the fuck is going on.
Something's not right. Yeah. Yep, for sure. Yeah.
And that's its own thing too, because people are like, oh, there's the placebo effect. It's like, yo, bro, why wouldn't you want to go to a healthcare provider that has a big smile on her face, wearing this bright ass yellow shirt? I know. She looks healthy. Yeah. She feels healthy. I feel great. Yeah. I do.
I do. I used to work out 6 days a week, and I wasn't one of those people like I have to punish myself in the gym, but I was like, well, if I want to eat that later, I need to get my workout in. Sure. I love how tall I'm pretty tall, but I'm always like, I want to be taller so I can eat more. Still stands true, even though that was, pre my diet revolution days, but still stands true. I enjoy eating, but it's, I think because I'm eating such good things that meals are way more enjoyable. I feel like. Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't get bodied afterwards, and you can't move.
Yeah, and I don't want to coma. I'm like I have energy. I do enjoy a little 20-minute power nap, but I'm not needing to do you know Kevin James?
Yes.
The comedian?
Yes.
Kings of Queens. He did this whole stand-up back in, this was probably early 2000s. And he talks about how he's like, I just want to take a nap after I beat a Big Mac, and he's all falling asleep in the restaurant. He's like, I'm like a grizzly bear. I'm like, that's so true. You eat all that crap, and all you want to do is just go to sleep.
Yeah, because your body's like, lay your ass down so I can do some work. Yeah, right. Since your ass didn't want to work.
Exactly.
Body, can we just get an acknowledgement right now? Like, oh man, body, you're just so good to me, so good to us. Constantly dealing with our shit, constantly enduring the bombardment from our minds and from our brains. Thank you, body, for just loving me so, just like as Mother Earth loves for us so and provides for us so. As unsustainable as we are, our bodies do the same thing until it's just like, you know what? Fuck it, you deal with it.
I know. If you really think about how crazy and amazing our bodies are, and what they how we were created, and the foresight to know what was coming in our diets and how to save us is insane.
Like, it already had the prepackaged technology
to know how to fix it.
Right.
Right?
When we fucked up.
Yes. It wasn't like it adapted, it just knew. It knows. It knows. It's preset. It knows from the minute you're created to how to fix the problems you're going to give it in the future. Isn't that crazy?
It's amazing.
Every day, I was talking to my husband about this last night. Every day I do this, the more I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just learn more. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that was a thing. Oh my God, I didn't know that was a thing. But it doesn't stop me from wanting to learn. And the other thing I want to impart to everyone is you are crazy smart. Crazy smart. The media wants to tell you you're stupid. The government wants to tell you you're stupid. Follow them. That's what they say. Listen to me. I'm the experts. Consensus does not make science. Just because you have a bunch of experts saying the same thing does not make it science.
Or make it true.
Boom.
Which is the real thing. It doesn't make it true. Oh, this is good. You're getting into epistemology, sis. How people come into experience and knowledge.
Right.
And just because it's common doesn't mean that it's factual.
And that has been impaired over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Consensus does not make science.
Shit, I'd say that it's a thing that's not common. That's probably, I'm probably going to do that.
Pretty much whatever the government or a 3-letter agency tells you to do the exact opposite.
For real.
Do the exact opposite. They are all in bed together. It's gross.
It's just unsustainable. And how do I say this? I'm looking forward because, I wasn't alive in the 1920s, but I hear them things were roaring.
Yeah.
And I don't know, sis, but
flappers, they look fun. Their dresses look like they had some fun.
I think there's something about this decade, which I think I'll speak on, and, we can begin to bring this conversation to a close, but the amount of access to information that a lot of people have that, people talk shit about, high schoolers nowadays or kids nowadays. I'm like, they have the potential to fucking pivot this thing way better than any of us could have, because they are coming into a world where there's technology available and different things. And I think as they're able to master that, and as the, generation just really prior, we saw internet and pagers and cell phones and lack of cell phones, and, we can toe that line. There's a collaboration that I think just hasn't quite existed because a lot of people are feeling exhausted from they're exhausted, and there's increased recognition of the systems that be. And now they're like, they see this. And as they see it, it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do with it? And I think that there's just a lot more people that are calling in a renaissance of health, calling in a renaissance of fun, calling in a renaissance of taking the power back and really redistributing that energy to things. And this is coming in for now right now too, but Grant Cardone, Sell or Be Sold, he references, and I'm pretty sure he says, out of all the billions of human beings in the world, if everyone had equal distribution of wealth and money, that each person would have over $1 billion.
Dang.
Because there's the US dollar, but then there's all the other currencies. But I was like, where the fuck is my billion? And how is that playing out into our health? Because all money is just energy. Right. And if we can restore, when we can restore more power back into the beings that are willing, that are fucking willing to do the hard work, to shift things and take their power back and take responsibility for their own health and outcomes, I was like, well, we get more. My question is, how can we inspire more people to do that?
Right.
Because I love the old saying. It's like, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But my thing is like, well, you can try to kick the motherfucker in, but that might not work because it's a horse. Or you can make the water look really tasty.
Right. I mean, I think we just got to talk about how, was it easy to start this business? Heck no. And I want to earn my own billion. I don't even take it from anyone else.
Yeah.
I want to get my own, right?
Yeah, get it.
Because those people worked hard for that.
For sure.
Well, caveat. Yep. Anyways, but I think talking about how great this feels, it was extremely hard to do this. And it's still hard. I mean, it's hard to be a provider and then also be a small business owner. But I love every second of it. I don't ever not want to be my own boss. And I am just, people are working 40 plus hours a week for a corporation that when you die, your job will be in the next day. They don't care. So do the hard things, start a business, change your lifestyle, go for a walk, do hard things. You feel so accomplished. I wake up in the morning and I have to work out and I don't want to. And in the middle of it, that's untrue. I wake up, I'm like, yeah, I want to do this. I'm going to feel good. In the middle of it, I hate every second of it. I'm mad at her. Why are you making me lift heavy weights? Why am I doing this? And by the time I'm done, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I did that.
Ooh.
I'm so glad I did that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And girls, you can lift heavy.
Ooh, tell them. Fucking tell them.
Lift heavy. Get the weights and lift it heavy.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of this. I don't want to look. You're not going to look like a man. You're not going to look like a man. It shapes you. It gives you the female shape that everyone wants. Lift heavy. Muscle mass is imperative. It is so imperative as we age. Cardio is good, but you need to be lifting weights. 1,000%. I'd rather you lift weights 3 to 4 days a week and not run on a treadmill.
1,000%.
1,000.
It's just not your body. You're just squeezing you're wringing your body dry of the resources that it thinks it needs. And you lift heavy, you end up looking like a snack, which is really nice. And then you get to eat more snacks. Like, it's really nice. I know we talk about not eating every 2 hours, but you can have a fast snack. Make it worth it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. As I heard you speak, start a business, change your lifestyle, do the hard things. I see like a parallel, like with starting your business, you're making a deliberate effort to create things in the way that you want. And when you choose to change your lifestyle, it's the same thing. You're just focusing on your body. Your business is just like its own baby or its own body that you still need to effort to create different things. And there's so much information out there. Like I've been crushing Alex Hormozy's content, who like just highlights so many nuggets when it comes to business. But what I think is most important is to be able to identify, you know, folks like Mandy, like things that we're doing at The Source, find people that are in integrity with what you think and empower you to think more for yourself. So that way there's just more sustainable and empowered humans. Yeah. Because we just went to school for an extended amount of time to learn more about health, but it's something that everyone needs to learn how to cultivate if they want to experience more depth of life for themselves.
And I wouldn't even say I was taught a whole lot about health in my furthering. And I don't, doctors aren't either. It's all memorization. They don't talk about nutrition. They don't talk about this stuff. And if they do, it's all standard American diet.
Right. They don't talk about movement, stress processing.
Yeah, none of that.
Which is there's a difference between sickness and health.
Right. For sure.
And a paradigm where we come from as chiropractors is health and life restoration versus symptom and disease management. Something that Mandy's efforting to do is also health and life restoration versus symptom and disease management, as that's a model that we've seen over the last several decades. It's not sustainable, as the United States is one of the sickest countries in the world. Yep. And one of 2 countries, as a reminder, that allows pharmaceutical companies to advertise to its people. What's the shit that you dropped on me yesterday?
God dang it. The stat, I think it's 2/3. Is that what I said? Can I look?
Go for it.
Okay. Twice as much. Pharmaceutical companies are spending twice as much on marketing than they are on research and development. And New Zealand and America are the only 2 countries that allow direct to consumer advertising. Yeah.
Y'all can't see, but I'm like, what the fuck?
I know. Don't you want them to be spending like 4 times as much on research and development before they put things in our bodies? We all just blindly follow.
One would think. I mean, without going into a whole tangent, there's this new medical intervention for babies where it's like they only did long-term studies, quote unquote, for 2 to 3 months.
Can't even.
That means after 2 to 3 months, it's good fucking luck.
Yeah. And then they deny you and they tell you you're crazy when you say there's an issue.
Oh, right. Then they gaslight you. Yes, I was trying to think of another way to explain gaslight, but then they just manipulate your mind and they make you. I think one of the sickest freaking things that someone can do is make you question yourself. Yeah. And make you question your reality, make you question what you're perceiving in the way where it's like you don't believe, like fragmenting it. It's good to have, have someone question and actively examine and reflect, but to fragment or fracture, or destroy someone's past experiences and constructs of realities, I'm like, that's highly manipulative.
For sure.
Yeah, so be around a healthcare professional that empowers you in your thought processes, y'all.
Yeah.
What's this? Is there anything else you'd like to impart to our people?
You can do hard things. You can change it. You can change your marriage. You can change your parenting. You can start a business. You can change your lifestyle. You can do it. Just everyone needs to hear that. We can do hard things. Oh, God, that needs to be the scream from the tops. That needs to be the motto of the rest of 2022. It's like, we can do hard things. We can.
We're designed to.
We were.
Yeah.
And this country was founded on it.
Ooh.
They did hard things. Yeah. They put it all on the line. So we can do it.
Yeah, and then relapsed in, into the integrity thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, digress. How can our people find you?
You can go to my website, www.rinconhealth.com. You can email me at mandy@rinconhealth.com, or you can call or text me at 520-213-9503.
Lovely. Yeah. And just because you've been one of the newer people on Soul Coffee, which I'm super excited. And I actually didn't ask Michael. Damn it. I need to ask him again.
Okay.
How would you describe your flavor of Soul Coffee to the world?
My flavor of Soul Coffee?
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you give me I don't know what you mean.
Sure. How would you describe your flavor of Soul Coffee to the world? So by that I mean, what's it taste like? What's it smell like? What's the essence? What's the essence of you?
Of me. Okay.
Yeah. What are some characteristics of the essence of you?
Passion. Hope. drive, love, mercy, grace, imperfect, but willing to admit it. Lover of Jesus, mom, wife, I just am overall, I'm just happy.
I picture a holy happy brew.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear
I
a
should
holy
roast my
happy
own
brew.
coffee.
All right, y'all. Well, follow, please, Mandy on Instagram. Shoot her a message with what resonated. Reach out to her in all shapes and forms, especially my people here in Tucson, as it feels good to get the ball rolling with our people from Tucson, as we need to be where our feet are. And I love being able to empower my community online and in person as well. So however we can be of service to you, please reach out to either of us. We're really, really excited for this month of July. We got some excited things going on. We got a health empowerment play workshop. So if you're in Tucson and you're trying to play a little game of kickball, some different things, we're going to be planning things the 31st of July. Dr. Brett's going to be going to Sundance middle of the month up in South Dakota, which is where Mandy's Mandy's from. So myself and a number of our friends will be going to go support Dr. Brett. So send him some energy, some love for Sundance as well. And however we can be of support when it comes to your health in a natural and potent way, whether it's workshops or going to do health talks or collaborations or whatever it may be, just know that we're here to be of service, y'all. As always, if this resonated, please leave a 5-star review. Share it with your homies. We have now officially migrated to Anchor, so this should be on Spotify, if I'm not mistaken, as we're going to effort to get that up. And as always, y'all, be great. Until next time, peace.